Look at that. Yes, it is Thursday. It is 9, so that means it's UK Cowboys time. And joining this week is, of course, the one and only great friend of ours, Mr. Bluff City Cowboys, Marcus. How we doing, sir?
Doing good, guys. Thank you for the invite again. I always appreciate coming and talking football with you guys across the pond.
The seat's always, we tell you all the time, mate, the
Yeah.
seat is always open for you. Yes, I mean, we'll get into the pregame show, but since you're on and you're here, I thought I'd get your opinion on
Okay.
how you think the Cowboys season is going so far, especially after last week's game.
I mean, I think it's better than last year.
Yeah.
I mean, record is pretty similar at this point of the season, but overall, just over the course of the year, this has been a much better year.
Yeah.
I feel like this team is more battle tested than last year. I mean, we went 5 weeks with a backup quarterback, had a winning record. We've blown out some good teams. We've had some adversities that would have taken us out in the past and overcame them. So I feel like this team is much better suited to have a little bit more playoff success.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have to get over that Tom Brady hump, and that's pretty much inevitable at this point, guys. We're playing Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay first round. There's no way that's not happening. So we still got to make that one happen. But I feel like this team is prepared for any type of adversity that they may face than years past.
But
yeah, I think it's interesting that this year the watchword that all the T-shirts have been made up is resilient, and literally we've come through all sorts of things that have happened this year, losing Dak for a number of weeks, losing Tyron before the season even kicked off, having to start a rookie left tackle, having one of the better offensive lines for a period, and now we've got Terrence Steele going out injured this last weekend as well. It's just another thing that we've got to get over.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you as well. But what's funny is in the off season, like I was saying, I was like, it's funny because like this roster, and this was before we even played a snap. I was like, last year's roster was far more talented. And I would say, even now, I would stick with that comment that last year's roster was much more talented than this year's. But this year's roster seems to be playing better as a team and like as if the coaching has found a groove with everything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Just seems to be like there's that essence to it, like all around, like loads of little stuff, just like the simple thing like Brett Maher is another good example, like the kick in is better and you get Turpin, these players weren't more talented. They just happened to this year be playing better and playing better as a team. And I got a purple bauble right in my face. Look, but there we go. But yes, so we are here to talk about this weekend's game, which is against Jacksonville Jaguars. It is in TIAA Stadium Field, I should say. Early kickoff again, but it's going to be interesting as well, and we'll talk about the additions in the news and notes. And I do this to start every show, and we ask everybody at home as well, the MVPs of this show, just basically, guys, what do you feel about this weekend's game? Just like the general feel.
I think last weekend was a wake-up call, and much like us frittering away a 14-point lead against the Packers and losing in overtime, I think this is a wake-up call for us. I think the guys should respond this week. It is gonna be a tough game. It's almost like Jacksonville seem to be finding their form at the moment. They had a big win last week against the Titans.
Yeah.
And they're making a push for the playoffs because their division is pretty weak at the moment. Theirs is Titans are leading it, but Jaguars are obviously a couple of games back, I think. But you know, if they can win out or whatever, you know, they're looking good for the postseason as well. And you've got a crafty coach who knows the NFC East as well, in Doug Peterson as well. So
that's it.
I think this is going to be a good game anyway.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Lauren said, I agree 100%. I've had this game circled since preseason. When we did our pregame show, this was the game where I was like, I don't know what to expect when we get to this point. This is our last year's Raiders game.
Yeah, that's true.
You got a team who's been underperforming, but they're still in the playoff hunt, just like the Raiders were last year. They have a lot of talent. They just don't consistently put it all together. Because if you look at this team on paper, on offense, they're explosive. On defense, they got some guys. They've got the coaching. They haven't been consistent throughout the year. And this is one of those games where you know the stadium's going to be rocking.
Yeah.
You know this is going to be pretty much their breakout game of the year. So let's see so you know you're going to get their A game. So you just have to be aware of stuff like that.
Yeah. And they are a team that in like, you know, when you think about like the sort of the last month or so is on an incline. They're a team on the rise, like as if all the parts have started to click at the right time. And I mean, they've won 3 of the last 5 games.
Yep.
Which is quite significant. But let's get into news and updates, guys, and then we can crack on with the show. So let's hit this. All right, so the big news is obviously the T.Y. Hilton sign-in. We'll talk about that in a second. Since Hilton's been signed, they have signed as well Trayvon Mullen, quarterback, second pick. Cardinals, or was that the Cardinals he played last?
Raiders 2019, I think.
That's right. Yeah. Then he went to the Cardinals, and moved on. That's right. And they've also signed another nose tackle, Anthony Rush, which is no surprise with what's happened with Hankins. So
and he's
they're going to have to do something. Yeah, and that's actually quite a significant loss when you think of like Hankins was starting to find a groove. They were finding a way to put him on the field, and it was working. So that's a big loss. Now we're going to check the practice report, which should be out any minute. But yesterday, Curse and Ferguson were shown as limited. Obviously, Ferguson is a big one because he's on concussion protocol. So we know where that one's going. But Curse, he's going to be quite important, especially with the way Evan Ingram played last week. I think it was over 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that's the thing. I mean, we will talk about their offense when we get to the Cowboys defense, because there's a sneaky one. OBJ watch, that's still going on. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. So far, he hasn't made a decision yet, but we'll see where that was going. We'll talk about it on the Cowboys offense side is the O-line options. So that's going to be a tricky one to try and figure out. But let's talk, first of all, guys, T.Y. Hilton. What do you guys make of that signing?
Well, preseason, that was one of the main guys I had circled for us to target.
Yeah.
He doesn't fit the typical Cowboys archetype for a wide receiver. So that's why I thought we never take them. They never take short, shifty, fast speed receivers. But I mean, if you look at it from what he provides, he gives you veteran help on the outside, which allows you to keep CeeDee Lamb inside and moving him around, which works very well for him. He gives you a legitimate deep threat, which we don't have. I mean, Michael Gallup does well, but he's a 4 or 5 guy. Noah Brown does well. He's a 4 or 5 guy. You got a legitimate 4 or 3 guy. And I know people talk about Turpin, but Turpin came from the Birmingham, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
That's different from the NFL. Just because a guy has speed doesn't mean he knows how to make plays deep. And
look at John Ross.
Exactly. Every team has a guy who runs a 4-3 who's not touching the field.
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton has made his career doing that.
Yeah, I think Gallup would normally be our deep threat, but obviously they're bringing him back slowly from this knee injury. I think there's that's another hurdle that they still need to get over.
Mm-hmm.
Hilton has the potential to take the top off the defense. At the moment, we haven't got a receiver that's caught a pass longer than 33 yards, other than with Yak afterwards. But in terms of the amount of yards covered through the air, we don't have that. And I think Dak's something like 2 of 9 on deep balls at the moment in the last couple of weeks. So we do need to expand that, because at the moment, the defenses that we're facing at the moment are quarters and cover 2, and you need something to affect that. And you can do that by having somebody streaking down the field and causing chaos for the safeties that are back there covering.
And Lauren, let me say this really quick for the people who are listening. And shouts out to Joe, because I know he's always heavy in the comments. So thank you for joining us from Italy. When you talk about a deep threat guy, there's a difference between Michael Gallup, who may get downfield 30 yards and it's a 50-50 catch, and Noah Brown. There's a completely different thing when you got a guy like T.Y. Hilton, when you could throw it up and he could run under it. We don't have a run under it deep threat guy. And that's something he'll provide us that's different than what Gallup and Brown can provide.
Yeah, that's it. And like I've always said, Michael Gallup is, like Des Bryant Jr. He's a lighter version of that. You think Des Bryant, not a quick burst off the line, his initial burst, insane. But his actual top end speed isn't that big, and he wasn't a huge route runner. What he was good at is the physicality, the catch point, which is what Michael Gallup is good at. And you're quite right, where T.Y. Hilton is more of a technician in that sense and can get out and get free, and he will separate that way. So yeah, very, very different. Now the next guy is Trayvon Mullen. Now this guy I can actually remember spending some time on because I wanted him to be one of the Cowboys targets. He's not huge, but he's very, very shifty. Especially getting in and around the ball, he can be very shifty in that sense. What do you guys make of this? Obviously, it's going to cover themselves for the injuries, but also as we move into the playoffs, because it's all about bodies, it's all about numbers. Do you guys see him making a significant push for the roster spot, or do you think this is something going further and beyond?
No, you're talking about Mullen or Alexander, because you say it's
Mullen.
Okay.
I think, to be honest, he's obviously is a second round pick. He's come from Clemson, so he's used to the sort of big stage and what have you. But he's not lasted in the NFL at the moment. He's been on the Raiders. He was on the Cardinals at the beginning. Strangely enough, he actually played something like 40 snaps, which was a season high for him this past week. And then he was cut on Monday or Tuesday. And the main thing is the Cowboys are trying out guys, seeing what they've got as well. And they're not saying, normally we are frustrated that if you go and have a look at the Stephen Jones parody on Twitter, it's always we like our guys sort of thing. And this year, with all of these people that we're picking up, we're actually picking up people that potentially have the talent. They're high draft picks. They've just not panned out with one team. It just be a different scheme and it'll work for us or whatever. So I like it from that point of view. I just need to see what he can do in this scheme.
So I'm a big draft guy, and I'm an even bigger Clemson fan. I follow all my Clemson guys. I was pounding the table for J-Ron Curse. I wish I could do the same thing for Mullen. When I look at Mullen play, he's a height, weight, speed guy.
Yes.
So the traits are there. I think he was overdrafted by Oakland. Even coming out.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't think he was a high second round talent guy. I don't think he has the ability. Well, he may have it now, but when he first came out, Oakland was looking for him to kind of be, this is our Trayvon Diggs. Like, you're gonna step on the field day one. You get the big X receiver, and that's your guy. He's not built for that. Well, he's not capable of it in my opinion, above the shoulders. Below the shoulders, he has it. So I think he was put in a bad situation in Oakland. They sent him to the Cardinals. The Cardinals are just a complete
mess.
A complete mess. They're just a bunch of athletes on the team, and they have no clue what to do with them. Like, if you guys want to see Olympic level team, go look at the Cardinals defense. Everybody's 6'2" and runs a 4.3, but their defense is horrible. So I don't know if it's coaching or scheme or what. But
age. When you look at it, they're all veteran players. There's nothing young there.
But everybody's big and tall and fast, but nothing works. So I give him a pass with the Cardinals. So I'm hoping he can come here. He plays with a little bit better talent in the secondary. Maybe we can pull something out of him. But I'm not holding my breath on that one. But I'm looking forward to seeing him.
I quite liken the Mullen pick for Oakland as what the Cowboys did with Kelvin Joseph. It's very much kind of that circumstance, what they foreseen and the expectation and all the rest of it. But the other part they added is Anthony Rush, nose tackle. Obviously we know what's happened with Hankins there. What do you guys make of that? Do you think that's just them covering themselves as they get into the playoffs and see what we can do with it?
I think there's two aspects to this. Yes, it's covering because he's a big body. I think he weighed in at 360. But he's also had quite a few cups of tea with the Philadelphia Eagles recently. I'm currently listening to a book about all the subterfuge that goes on behind the scenes in the NFL and various ways, and they do talk about how they bring practice squad guys in to find out the secrets of upcoming opponents. So I think there's 50% covering yourself on Hankins, and then there's also this that you're covering yourself on getting a little bit of insider information on the Eagles.
So we will return back to the Cowboys practice report once we get to the end, and we'll take a look at that. But let's get to the Cowboys offense then, guys, and we will get on with the show. Yes, and I know what you're going to say, Marcus. Offense doesn't have a C in it. It's an S, but all right.
We spell things differently than you guys do.
Hey, mate, in some ways, you spell it better than us.
Well, that's subjective.
Right. Anyway, let's get into this. So, one of the topics that's come up this week is obviously about Dak Prescott, that he hasn't looked good for the last couple of weeks now. And in some ways, that is true. But can anybody think, is there anything specific we can point at in Dak Prescott's game why these interceptions are becoming an issue?
I mean, I don't think there's one thing you can put your hands on. I mean, look at it last week. The first one, that was the offense we've been running the whole game.
Yeah.
The guy just got his hands on it.
Exactly.
I mean, if you go back to the end of the game with the Dalton Schultz catch, almost the same play.
Yeah,
the ball just barely missed the linebacker's hand that time. So we're talking the tip of a finger here between a big play and an interception. The second one, we just lost our starting right tackle. A new guy came in. Dak's arm got hit. I mean, that happens to any quarterback.
Yep.
So I mean, the interception goes on Dak, but on those two, you can't just say like, okay, Dak's just screwing up all over the place.
Exactly.
I would have to go back and look at some of the other ones from previous weeks. There were some bad ones in there also, so I don't want to give them a pass. But we can't just put all of them on and saying that Dak has some fundamental problem that he keeps creating turnovers on his own.
And I'm exactly there with you. When I've seen it cropping up and people are like, oh, he's on 9 interceptions of the year. And it's like, well, go back and point to me all the ones. I'm not saying he's completely devoid, of it completely, but go show me each one and say to me what it was there that he did wrong. he is taking more chances. I will say that he's trying to thread the ball into some tight window throws, and he's trying to get the ball into very rapidly closing windows. And I think in part of that is because he's not rushing as much anymore. He's trying to be a pocket passer, so that's going to naturally happen.
Yeah.
But I'm totally with you. When I've heard people talking about it, I'm with you. I'm looking at it, I'm going, yeah, but every single one you could point at, you could say, right, that was down to somebody knocking his arm, somebody tipping the ball, somebody getting into pressure. Like the one that happened against who was it, with Gallup, and he fell down and he got contact. If you look at the start of that release, that's a face mask. The defender literally holds Michael Gallup's face mask, and he's just like, these are all things. But like you say, Marcus, that you don't put it against the offense. It's a statistic that goes against the quarterback. So then they initially look at that and you go, oh, but I'm totally with you. But go on, Ron, take over, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Dak in previous years has been well known for throwing into coverage and making the tight throws. I think there was a stat during the off season that he had the highest percentage completions on deep balls, or throwing into coverage, and I think it was completions where a safety was, or a defender was within half a yard or something like that. And Dak was the highest. We're not seeing that this year. As Joe says there, a lot of the interceptions have come off tips where, as soon as it goes to the receiver's hands, the receiver should catch it. If he doesn't, knock it down onto the ground so that it's not going up in the air for a defensive back to pinch. You've also had, the option routes that we have where Dak sees one thing, CD Lamb sees another. There's miscommunication there. Little things like that just need to be ironed out. And, you got to remember Dak was out for 4 games this season. That's still something that he probably needs to work on. That if he'd been playing those first 4 games this season, he probably would be hitting form now, and we'd be making a good push. The timing of them, they're not hurting us too much. I mean, it certainly could have been worse in that Texans game. If Dalton Schultz hadn't come back and tracked back and tackled the guy at the 5-yard line, and the defense steps up and makes a fantastic goal line stop, we could have been talking about a loss there on Tuesday night. So
yeah, definitely. So yeah, it was just the first topic I wanted to hit because a lot of people talk about it, and I feel that it's slightly misrepresented, especially when you get people like Shady McCoy and there's such like giving their rather spurious takes that contradict their own comments from a week before.
Shady's just a hater.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's quite funny. He'll say one thing and then 5 minutes later he's contradicting himself on something he's just like literally said. It may not even be a week. It might just be a day. He's gone 24 hours and he's messed up. But there we go. That's all I'll say. Yes, Tony Pollard and Zeke in the last 3 games. Their total combined yards per game average ranked 3rd in the NFL. They are absolutely storming. The irony here is for most people on the outside looking in, like ourselves, we've been saying Tony Pollard is this guy. He just never really got the chance. One thing I wanted to ask you guys about Tony Pollard, especially with this game coming up, because the Jags can be beaten on the ground. Mostly they're going to be beaten in the air when you look at them statistically. But they can be beaten on the ground because their defensive line is quite good at getting there. They just fail to finish on the play. They seem to be in the right place.
Great analysis.
It's finishing that play that they seem to be struggling with. They're there, and then it doesn't quite finish off right. The only trouble I've got is I'm worried about their linebacker core. Now, they have their main linebacker is 1st in the NFL in tackles, and behind them is Devin Lloyd. And Mo's a little bit iffy about playing this week. What do you guys make of how Zeke and Pollard and like the way I look at it? Pollard, like wheel routes and like these sort of it's almost like a semi screen pass that goes out to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a little bit more used this week because of that.
One thing about watching Jacksonville, you talk about the defensive line. Devin Lloyd misses a lot of tackles.
He does, yeah. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I mean,
like 13%, which is big.
Yes, I mean he's missing 2 a game. He's overrunning plays. He's just a very aggressive player. And
always been.
And it's working to his detriment sometimes. And you talk about those little swing passes, stuff like that. I think we're gonna use some of those to take advantage of his aggressiveness.
That's what I'm thinking.
I noticed the last 2 weeks Chad Muma's actually been playing a little bit more because they've been kind of sitting Lloyd down just so we can kind of watch the game a little bit from a sideline perspective. Yeah. And then you also got Trayvon Walker, the first round pick. I mean, that guy has the talent, but when you look at them plays, like he doesn't know what he's doing or where he's going.
Aggressive once again.
Yeah, that's another guy that we have to take advantage of because
he may not play though.
Oh, he won't. Okay.
He's day to day with a high ankle sprain, so which he picked up.
He's on the practice report as did not participate.
Okay.
So and like you say, and like what's funny is Trayvon Walker, ironically though, actually plays quite a significant role on their defense. So if he does go missing, that's a big chunk. But give it to me.
We get to see Chase on from LSU.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a guy you can run on.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's seen his struggles since joining the NFL, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. But what do you make, Lorne, of the run game that the Cowboys can put on the Jaguars' defense? Or do you think the defense will hold up?
I think we'll have plenty of opportunity. I mean, the good thing in the last couple of weeks, you've seen a lot of outside runs by Zeke, which is a sort of tendency breaker. You've seen inside runs by Pollard and what have you. So this is showing that, you can't just say, right, Pollard's on, defend the outside. Zeke's on, defend the inside and, key your defense to the strengths there. Kellen Moore / Mike McCarthy are putting the Cowboys running game into position to do these sort of things. Now you've got to rely that they're actually going to stick with the running game, which it was stop-start last week. But I certainly don't see it being a problem. It all depends on what we do with the offensive line and how we line up the offensive line.
There you go. You just segued nicely there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean they've got Smoot and they've got Josh Allen, and we was talking about players that will get there but not finish on the plate is Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. He's literally getting into the backfield, but he's just failing to get the sack. Like he's just slightly behind.
Dwayne Smoot, like Sam Williams.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. He's got all the power, all the aggression, but he's just a tick slow in getting to the quarterback or getting to the ball, getting the ball carrying, finishing on the play. Smoot's having quite a good season. But let's talk about the Cowboys' offensive line because they're going to have to obviously keep these two guys in check. Who are your 5 guys? But what do you think the Cowboys are going to do?
Okay. I mean, if Tyron's healthy, he's playing. Like, no question.
Yeah.
Duke Mayweather has been tweeting a lot today saying that he thinks the Cowboys are going to put Tyron Smith at right tackle.
Yeah, I've seen Broadus talking about that.
Yeah, him and Broadus are going back and forth about it a little bit. And also Mayweather on his own. So that's something to be aware of. I don't know what that means about the left side. I don't know if they're going to put Tyler back at left and keep McGovern at guard.
I think so. Yeah, that would be.
And let Peters just kind of stay your swing guy. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm leading, but we'll see. Tyron Smith's been a great left tackle for over a decade.
Exactly. I mean, like that's the trouble I've got is that he is your perennial Hall of Fame left tackle. You know, he is that crown jewel of the offensive line crown. You know, do I want to move him over to the right? The only reason why I would is, like you say, it's the best 5 guys. Conor McGovern's been a big surprise, especially as we get into the business end of the season. He's really turned it on. Like he's playing for another contract right now. Like if he continues on this ascension, you would have to offer him a new because he's actually playing really well.
Yeah.
So well, in fact, that you could turn around and say, all right, let's put Tyron Smith at right tackle and keep the left as it is. And as weird as that sounds, if he was to say it any other time, if he was to say that last year, we would be like, what?
Right.
But yeah, it sounds unusual. The only thing I would add, and answer me this, right, Lon? The final drive last week against the Texans from their 2-yard line, 11 plays, march downfield, and they literally walk a touchdown in, right?
Yep.
Their right tackle at the time was Jason Peters on that drive.
Peters, yeah.
He was. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you know, Josh Ball had been in from the middle of the third quarter as well. Josh Ball played something like 22 snaps.
And allowed to sack.
You know, yeah, and he wasn't terrible for most of those. There are just 2 plays on the drive before the 98-yard drive. 2 plays that he probably wish he could have back again. And you know, again, it's probably with Josh Ball. It's, you know, last year was rehabbing. This year he's still not got quite enough sand in the pants, as we say. You know, and he was overpowered and walked back into the quarterback.
His kick slide needs a lot of work.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if you still see Josh Ball getting some playing time this week as well. You know, you want both. Jason Peters hasn't played a full game for us yet, and there's questions about whether he's got enough gas in the tank to play 60, 70
He's a
snaps a
40-year-old
game.
guy, like,
Yeah. And, you know, Tyron, obviously, you know, he's coming back from injury that, you know, he's been out for 10 weeks or so. You know, he won't have the game time stamina. So maybe you do some sort of thing where you're rotating the right tackle. But you know, what a right tackle combination to have if you got Jason Peters and Tyron Smith.
Exactly.
Subbing out, you know, and you know, yes, we always talk about how difficult it is to play on another side of the line from how you're used to lining up. But in run, you know, if we're talking about the run game and trying to establish this run game, then, you know, that should be easy. It doesn't matter which side of the line you're on, you know, just get out and block somebody, you know, is the main aspect. So yeah, I'm probably going with Tyron Smith at right tackle, to be honest.
It works, is the thing. Like I like keeping our best guy on the left. That's the trouble. That's my thing, the blind side. So the issue is I mean, like the issue is, you know, by doing that, what happens to the right? If you do that, that means that Tyler Smith is sitting out because I'm keeping McGovern in and I'm playing Josh Ball on the right. That sounds disgusting to me.
I was just about to ask, do any of you guys think Tyler Smith should go to the right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't like that.
Making sure we're all on the same page with that one.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you think like you've already messed around with him a lot in his rookie season with what you've asked to do, you know, asked him to do. But here's the final piece on the offense, guys. CeeDee Lamb, what do we do with him this week? Because he's going to be quite important, along with Schultz as well, mind. They have Tyson Campbell, who I think is literally, if we were to go to the Pro Bowl today, he's playing in the Pro Bowl. He's played that well this year.
He has.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. Great cornerback over there. The only trouble is the rest of the defensive back unit. has been letting him down because they give up, I believe it's 27th most in passing yards. You've got their off-ball linebackers in there, Devin Lloyd, as we say, in that rotation, but they're not really used in coverage. They're just more as stop the run type guys, try and put a bit of pressure down on the quarterback. Their safety play is really bad when you look at it. So what I would do personally, if I was smart about this, I don't know what you guys think, because Tyson Campbell exclusively plays as an outside corner on the right-hand side, never moves. So I'm going to work the middle and the left and keep the ball away from him. And because CeeDee Lamb is this movable player on the field, you can play him outside, you can play him inside, right, left. There we go. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to keep Noah Brown on that side just so that he's got to cover a guy.
Yep.
And by all means, start him off against him and move him in motion as well and see if he comes across and covers as well, which, that'll create mismatches for you as well. If it's man coverage and you're bringing these guys across, you're asking them to play out of position. So, and CeeDee Lamb is mobile, that he can play any position on on that wide receiver core. So,
and you look as well against the Colts how much they were putting CeeDee Lamb in motion and how that was working.
Yeah. Yep. And then you look at the Jaguars, the rest of the secondary. I think the other corner is Darius Williams, if he's not injured. 5'9". He may be playing exclusively in the slot, which is even better in my opinion. And they also have, I believe, Trey Herndon, just kind of a journeyman type guy. So there are some opportunities on anybody other than Tyson Campbell. And I love Andre Cisco. I pounded the table for him that whole draft.
Yeah.
But
he might not be playing this week either, though.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he did not participate. And their other safety, Andrew Wingard, he's iffy to play. So that's their two starting safeties, which means they'll have to play Rayshon Jenkins, who gives up an absolute ton of receptions.
Don't they have Tyree Gillespie out of Missouri? I think he was drafted by Jacksonville, but I don't know if he's playing at all. But that's a guy I really like.
Let me have a look at depth chart. Gillespie's third string strong safety according to their depth chart. So you got Rayshon Jenkins and Andrew Wingard ahead of him.
Yeah. Okay. So he's gonna have, but I don't think he's actually played a snap though, as yet. But yeah, so I mean, it's and like this is a perfect game as well for Michael Gallup to just get deep. The only issue I got with Michael Gallup is the drop passes. Like he made a lot last week in not just important moments, but like in the end zone. You can't be dropping them. Like they've got to come reeling in. So let's see what they do with that. And obviously the other part on this will be Dalton Schultz. And he had a good game, obviously, last week. Led the team in receiving yards. Let's see if we can do it again.
Yep.
All right then. Let's get to the defense, guys.
Really quick.
T.Y.
Hilton. It looks like T.Y. Hilton may play this week, so that may be another option you can throw out there at the corner and just keep running them deep as a diversion.
What's really cool with that, thinking about it, is Hilton can also play from the slot.
He can, yeah.
So you've got Lamb and Hilton interchangeable in different positions that can get. Obviously, Lamb isn't going to get deep, although he can. That's not really his type of game, but Hilton can certainly get deep.
It's a different type of getting deep.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah. All right, let's try the defense then. See what we get here. All right, then. So our first question, and we got actually, I tell you what, we'll take the mailbag question from Andrew. Saying about Micah Parsons is that they talk about the lack of production, especially adding the mailbag for Blogging the Boys as well. Is it perhaps that Parsons is feeling a bit of fatigue or playing with injury? Do any of you guys see that? Personally, I think it's utilization over the last couple of weeks.
I think it's a couple of things. Certainly last weekend, as soon as Houston went to the option game,
Yeah.
that just put him on the back foot.
Yeah, pulling
And
him in.
this is slightly concerning that obviously we got Philadelphia again in a couple of weeks' time, and we still haven't managed to sort of properly figure out how we're going to defend an option game, which is difficult at the best of times anyway. But it takes it puts another second of reading keys and things like that into it that slows you down. I think it was a factor that as soon as the Houston Texans had that last drive and they needed to go down the field as quickly as possible to try and level the score or go for a go-ahead touchdown. That Laramie Tunsil, who had been managing to keep all of our defensive ends under control, he suddenly started jumping off sides or false starting. Sorry, that was because he knew that basically Houston had to pass. Our defenders knew that, and we could tee off on that. I think the main thing is obviously this year you're probably seeing that Micah Parsons has been used more as a defensive lineman or an edge rusher than a linebacker as he was in his rookie year. And that does, that is a question, is that you're constantly, if you're going 70 snaps a game against 310 pound, 320 pound guys, that's going to be difficult, and that is going to wear down on your body. And you've seen instances in like the Rams game where he came off and we thought he'd had a groin tear and things like that. It's amazing that he is still playing on the field and what have you, but I think he probably is suffering from a few niggles, but then all players are at this point of the season, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think as well, when you look at the teams that they've played as well, we like in this stretch, it's been teams that have all had for various different skill levels, not skill levels, but skill types. They've had very good running backs they've had to face. And so that means you can't just like let Parsons. They've had to kind of like rein him back a little bit into almost an off-ball linebacker type role. Doesn't suit him, but unfortunately, because of the way they're afraid of the game script to go, that's what they've had to do. And ironically, the last 4 games where they faced like some of the, when you think Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook, Damon Pierce is, he's a bowling ball type running back. He's good. You look at that, they played some of the best running backs in the league, yet they did not allow more than 120 yards rushing in each of those games. And that's at a time when people are arguing about, well, where's Micah Parsons gone? I just think that it weighs up. Do you know what I mean? But on the back end of that, let's talk about Leighton Vander Esch, who I think right now has earned himself a new contract.
Yeah, we talked about this on Tuesday that if you consider last weekend as well, he'd shown up on the practice report on the Friday, I think it was, with an illness, and yet on Sunday he was running around nine solo tackles, five assists, 1 tackle for loss. I think you've certainly tail end of last season playoffs. You saw him getting settled into this position and this defense, and it has worked for him this year. And I think he again with Vander Esch, a lot of the problems were that he wasn't on the field because of various injuries.
Yeah,
touchwood, he's been available all season. I think that, coupled with the fact that especially in the last 4 weeks when we've had Hankins on the field as well, Hankins has done a job of holding up guys, the first area of the offensive line, and that's allowed these guys to actually flow to the ball and make the plays. This is why the Landry's flex defense worked, was that it was basically setting up the defensive linemen to hold up the offensive linemen and allow guys like Leroy Jordan, Bob Brunig, and all that to actually float to the ball. And that's what you need in this day and age, is something like that as well. And Hankins unfortunately is gone, but you've got Bohanna back from the last couple of weeks. He's been off with a couple of knee injuries and what have you. He's back. We've got this guy Rush, whether he gets brought up or not, I don't know. You still got Tack McKinley as well, who's capable of playing D tackle as well as end. So,
and Tack is good against the run.
Yeah.
But go on, Marcus, give it to us.
I was just gonna say this. You guys talk about Van Der Esch deserves another contract, and I know there are probably people who are watching who think like you're insane. But I think our fan base has to get out of watching only Cowboys games so much. Because if you're over analyzing Van Der Esch, you see all of his flaws, and he has flaws.
Of course he does. I'm not saying that he doesn't.
All right, but at the end of the day, he's an above average NFL linebacker. And
very much.
If the price is right and he's a veteran, he knows the team, that's definitely something you want to bring back. Because I'm sure you guys look at social media and you hear a lot of he's a bomb type talk.
Oh, yeah.
But
I don't read social media stuff. I just I let my eyes tell me what I need to know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the playing when he's playing downhill, he's getting to that ball carrier. When they're on third down, certainly you're seeing it, especially in the last few weeks. That when it's third down, like those 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, and they decide to run the ball. It always seems to be Leighton Van Der Esch who comes in and makes the defensive stop. And he's there. And it's not just his ability to come downhill, I think, that's looking better. I think one of the things he's got back is, that awareness and the reaction to what he's seeing, that has improved. That's what I'm noticing with him. But let's talk about Jalen Curse. I got an echo from somebody. Yeah. No, still got it.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I got a bit of an echo. No, it's not me.
Is it me? Check.
Hold on. Let's see. Oh, yeah. It is. It's you, Marcus. I got an echo from you.
Okay.
Like I'm hearing my voice twice.
Oh, you're hearing your voice twice. What can I do?
Hello. Oh, there we go. Nope. It's back again.
Still there.
Are you here too? And it just came up all of a sudden?
Yeah.
All right. Is it there now?
Hello.
Is it still there?
Hold on. I can do this. Hello? There we go. That's fixed it.
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah, there we are. That's definitely fixed it. Here we are, running technical troubleshooting whilst live. That's what it's all about. I want to talk about Jalen Curse. Obviously, he's showing up with an injury report, but Evan Ingram's having a big day. Had a big day, I should say, last week. But I've always said this with Evan Ingram, is that he's not a bad tight end. He's a really good tight end. The issue with Ingram has always been health. That he's gone oh, look at me. I'm really good. And the Giants fans will agree with this. And they go, oh, yeah, we've got a tight end. And then he's gone. And obviously, that's why they moved on from him. And at the moment, Trevor Lawrence is targeting him a lot.
Yeah.
So what do we do if Curse doesn't play this weekend?
I think it could be you bring McQuamu in maybe and use him for him because you got the size. The way Jacksonville are actually using him as well, they're using the Evan Ingram as a wide receiver, a big wide receiver, kind of like Atlanta do with Kyle Pitts when Kyle Pitts was playing this season. Play him outside, very rarely play him in line as a tight end. So you can almost bring another cornerback in and effectively cover him that way as well. So maybe, we were talking on Tuesday, maybe because of the fact that you're not getting anything out of Kelvin Joseph at the moment properly. Nashawn Wright, that was his first action in a regular season game at cornerback, and the results weren't there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps try something like McQuamu. Bring him back in as a cornerback. We have been spelling him in at various points, both as a safety and as a sort of cornerback as well in the dime situations. So
yeah, because you don't want to move Bland. I'm quite happy with Bland playing from the slot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's we lose Jordan Lewis, everyone panics, and Bland turns up, and it's like there hasn't been a skip. There hasn't been a beat that's been skipped over there now since.
Yep.
Because they've got their work cut out, these defensive backs. People will say about, there's Evan Ingram, but there's also Christian Kirk, who's very sneaky.
Yep.
Texas A&M, Christian Kirk. Now he is a guy who can maintain the ball, but he's a guy that actually the biggest weakness this Cowboys defensive back group has is when wide receivers get a bit of space and get the ball. It's that yak problem, and that's what Christian Kirk is really good at.
Zay Jones also.
Yeah, and Zay Jones is another one, and with Zay Jones, it's the body control. It's just insane, and because he was with the Rams, I believe, to begin with, wasn't he?
Rams and Raiders.
Yes, that's right. But him and Trevor Lawrence, especially if you look last week, they were connecting. They've really found a good connection, good chemistry there, and it just these wide receivers, they're okay. They are good. They are. I think Christian Kirk is he's in the top 10 in terms of receiving yards. So he's a sneaky player to watch out for. But these wide receivers, their strengths are like the Cowboys' weaknesses, if you get what I mean.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what's scary about them. But talk about it, Marcus, because I know you know these guys quite well.
Yeah. You pretty much hit the nail on the head. They have a lot of ball control, deep threat, 50-50 guys who can go up and make plays. And we all know that is a problem for Kelvin Joseph. Bland, who's been playing very well, we haven't seen him really have to cover deep from the slot.
Yeah, that's true.
And Christian Kirk is not your typical route running slot. He's a get to the second level type guy and split the safeties.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Bland can react to something like that if the pass rush can't get there like it hasn't been the past couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see if Diggs follows anybody. I personally think he should follow Zay Jones, but don't know what'll happen. So I'm really curious to see how Bland performs with an actual athletic deep receiver.
Yeah, because you think if Curse is over there doing that, you've got Tiggs on Jones, then suddenly Kirk becomes that what's the word? Like the Joker card, It's like, here it is. This is where the battle lies. Can Bland contain him? If he goes on the outside, if we play McQuamu, if we play Joseph, can they keep him in check? It's a tricky one.
And then you got Marvin Jones, who's a 10, 11 year vet, another height, weight, speed guy. He doesn't make a lot of plays, but he'll give you 1 or 2 30-yarders a game if you don't keep an eye on him.
Yeah. He'll give you a few first downs to keep the thing going.
Yep.
And then, of course, we've got Travis Etienne, which will be something. But the one thing I will say, because people keep panicking about this, is we spoke earlier about the fourth down stop the Cowboys made in our own red zone. That is a perfect example of why DeMarcus Lawrence is called the best run stop and defensive end in the NFL.
Yep.
That play was phenomenal. That is literally one of the best plays DeMarcus Lawrence has ever made.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right, then. So
let Let me say this really quick because we didn't touch on it.
Yeah.
The Jaguars have a good offensive line.
They do,
That's one thing that we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
The reason they're so successful is because their offensive line is not getting Trevor Lawrence touched. And also he's a mobile guy who can get out in space.
Yeah.
Like the Jaguars are one of those teams where they have 4 guys starting who could probably play tackle in the NFL. That's how athletic they are in their front 5 with Jawan Taylor and Brandon Scherf. And
Scherf is playing really well this year.
Really well.
Yeah.
So they have some athletes out there who can move the pile if they need to. And ATN is really good at finding those lanes and cutting up the field.
Yeah. This is we talk about how good the Cowboys offensive line is. Like the Jags offensive line is 6 in sacks allowed, but they are, I think, 6 in pressures allowed, which is better than the Dallas Cowboys. So the Cowboys have allowed less sacks, but the Jags have allowed less pressures.
Yeah, they have some real athletes out there. I love that offensive line. Even the backups, I love them. They have 2 guys I think could probably come and help us out a little bit, and Walker Little and my guy Cole Van Lanen. I know Mendoza's listening. He heard those 2 names quite a bit from me in 2021 leading up to the draft.
All right, then. Let's do this. Score predictions. Yeah, baby. So let's get everyone's score predictions and at home. Give us your score predictions. I'll give you mine. I've already handed one in for an article for Blog in the Voice, and I've said it's going to be a close one. It's going to come down to Brett Maher's field goal kicks, and I've gone for 27-23.
And again, I'm awfully close to you as well, Mike. I've got 27-24. So, yep.
I think it's gonna be 31-27. I really like their offense. I think they have those good mismatches. I think this is gonna be a passing game, which I know a lot of fans don't want to hear. But Aluakon, he just has Zeke's number, and we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Their linebacker core is strong, including him.
Yeah, I mean, Aluakon, that one makes the difference in the run game. You talked about the secondary outside of Tyson Campbell. There are a lot of holes that could be hit on. So I think this is going to be a really good passing show between the 2 teams.
All right. Yeah. Well, keep them score predictions coming in, guys, as we move on to the final segment. And it's a bit that everybody enjoys. And Marcus is about to see his name. Let's do this. All right, and here we go. It is, of course, the fantasy section. Get involved at home as well, guys. Basically, this is very, very simple, Marcus. We have the team's prediction rates, and then there are the guests as well.
Oh, God, I dropped.
So, me and Lorne last week, and Lorne made his predictions, and we had to have a horrible game to pick in because it looked very, very simple. Where you're just like, yeah, Cowboys over on everything, Texans on under on everything. That did not come through. So Nick's leads the guests with an 82% correction, and Heckma is the worst with 0.
Well, at least the bar is low.
Yeah, don't you worry. Heckma is not happy about that, so he's going to come back and rearrange that score for himself. So basically, yeah, it's really simple. I'll give you the score. You just tell me whether you think it's going to be more, less, or you can push. If you want to push, basically, if the score is 20 points and you push, you're saying it's a 1 point over or under. So it's 21 to 19 points. Gotcha. Just to keep it simple. So I'll start us off, right, guys? Dak Prescott this weekend, 21.9 fantasy points. Is that over or under?
Oh, let me ask this question. Are touchdowns 6 points?
Yeah, fantasy points.
Is it PPR?
Yep. PPR, full PPR.
Okay. All right.
Yes. What we going for? Dak Prescott, 21.9.
I'm gonna go push on that one, I think.
Oh, hold on. Let me get my sheet so I can get your scores in. Right, you're going to push on that. Okay.
Yep.
What are we going for then, Mr. Marcus?
I'm doing the numbers in my head. I'm actually going push also. 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
175 yards and 1 turnover. That puts you right at 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to say, a lot of people saying even, that, I feel that there's going to be an interception in there, which brings the score down. But he's, apart from that, it's going to look not too bad.
Yep.
No. Throw in as well some rushing yards in there. I think you'll get like 1 first down on the ground, perhaps. But yeah, we'll go with that. All right, then. Tony Pollard. Ooh, this is where it gets interesting.
All right.
12.9 fantasy points.
12.9.
I'm gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go higher on that one. I think obviously on the back of the last couple of weeks, he's certainly finding the end zone with regularity. And he's contributing.
Is going to do it.
Yeah, contributing both on the ground and through the air as well. So I'm going higher on that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely going higher.
Yeah, it has to be, doesn't it? I think it's especially when you think PPR. That if he gets like say 60 yards rushing and a touchdown, so there's like 10 points. So he needs 2 receptions, which he's gonna get, and he's over. That's definite for sure. This is a bit of a sneaky one. CD Lamb, 16.2 fantasy points, actually makes him the 4th highest wide receiver in fantasy this week. I get the reason.
Yeah.
When you think the Jags defense is, I believe, 27th in pass yards allowed, so it's got to go somewhere. 6 receptions, a touchdown.
I'm going to go ever so slightly over.
Okay.
Now this is on the proviso that we are going to see T.Y. Hilton suiting up.
Hopefully.
I think that will open up some real estate for CD Lamb to catch the ball.
Okay.
I'm torn on this one.
It is a tricky one.
I'm leaning under.
No,
I think this is a Dalton Schultz game.
Yeah, that tied with Pollard.
I think it's Dalton Schultz and Gallup this game. I think those are the 2 guys that are going to kind of break out.
Yeah,
I think Lamb will probably get 13 or 14, but 16. I don't know if he's going to get the touchdown that helps put him over the top.
No, all right, I like it. All right, then let's get to Dalton Schultz then, since we're on that. 11.1 fantasy points.
I'm going over. I really think he gets 5 catches. 5 catches. Oh, the yardage is what gets me. Yeah, he'll get over. I'm going.
Yeah.
70-yard game, 5 catches.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of work inside, and he's made a couple of big plays, 20, 30 yards. So I think that'll help kind of pad the passing receiving stats.
And like you think he'd be able to split those safeties on some seam routes?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go higher as well.
Yeah, especially if you're talking about their basically their 2 starting corners are hurt.
Yeah.
That's the guy that takes advantage of it.
Yeah, with Cisco out, I mean, Wingard. Yeah, definitely. That's the middle of the field exposed, basically. So yeah, you think you'll be able to get that going.
And in recent weeks, obviously, Ferguson's taken away some of Dalton Schultz's points.
Yeah.
Ferguson's by no means a lock. He's missed practice again today in concussion protocol. So he's no means a lock to come back as well. So it'll be Schultz and Hendershot that will be leading the way.
Okay. That's a good point.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Cowboys defense, 6.9 fantasy points.
the Jags are going to get in the 20s. Does that give you a 0, or do you get any points if a team scores in the 20s? I don't keep up with the defensive stats.
Can't remember. Is that not? It is 20.
What point does it go negative? Is my question, I guess.
I think that's when you hit sort of 29 or so.
Yeah, 28, I think, or 29 is neg.
3 sacks.
But sacks get you more, plus forced fumbles, which I think because Etienne is susceptible to a fumble. He's on 4 fumbles for the year.
Making it difficult, Mike.
3,
4, 5. Ooh, 6.9 is right at what I'm thinking.
So a push on that.
I don't want to say push though. I want to.
You want to commit?
I don't want to be that guy, right? I'm going over. I'm going over. The team
I like it.
On the sacks. I think they get at least 3. Lawrence has been going on like a streak of no turnovers. I think one comes this week.
Yeah, because it's been like since about week 8 or week 9 since Lawrence has thrown interceptions. So you think he needs to regress to the mean?
Yeah.
Lorne?
I'm going to go ever so slightly higher.
All righty, I like it. Commitment. It's all about commitment, and I like it. All right then, Trevor Lawrence, 17.8 fantasy points.
Over.
Ooh, in early with that as well, Marcus. I like it.
He's getting some yards this week. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
they may not correlate in the points, but he's getting some yards. That's going to help pad those stats.
He's gonna target the weak spot, which is cornerback, the cornerback 2 position.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he doesn't have 300 passing.
Yeah, agree.
I'm going to go higher as well, but I think I think the interceptions are going to come in this game. I think there's going to be at least 1 pick this game, maybe 2, because obviously these guys, the guys that we're starting opposite Diggs, they'll get tested a lot of the time, and if we can just get a little bit of pressure, get Lawrence running and moving with the ball, that's when the passes will be slightly off target. So yeah.
Now,
let's go ever so slightly higher.
I also think he's going to sneak you about 30 yards rushing this week too, which always helps a quarterback stats.
Does. He's got like that weird, like that Aaron Rodgers level of mobility. And that's how he uses it too. But yeah, that's what we'll go for there. All right, Travis Etienne, 12.4 fantasy points. I'm not happy with that score. The reason being, 1 is fumbles, 2, he's very up and down in his yardage. You look, there's like games where he's got 134 yards, 150 yards. Then there's other games where it's like 50 yards, 60 yards, 40 yards. And he hasn't scored that many touchdowns. I think he's only scored like 4 touchdowns on the year. And like, I think he scored one recently. I think against the Titans he may have scored one, if I remember right. I might be wrong. But it was like all the way back in like week 5 when he scored his one before that.
Yep. I'm gonna go lower on that one, I think.
Yeah. I'm going under also. I think the passing game is just gonna be too wide open for
I think that's what it is with Etienne. I don't think that it's the case with them where they don't like what he can do. I think they're just so focused on passing, on getting that ball out that is not air raidish, but there's a lot of distribution they want to chuck around out there, and that's the way he's gone. All right, then. Christian Kirk, 13.5 fantasy points.
Definitely over.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy. That's the one.
Yeah. He literally is the question mark for this game.
Yeah, I'm going over as well, actually. I think he should have a good day against us.
But what's ironic is that he's really good in the red zone, which is weird when you think of his size. But the Cowboys have been defending the red zone really well this season, which is quite ironic.
Yeah.
But all right then, Evan Ingram. This is an interesting one. 10.6 fantasy points, and this one I got no clue on because it all depends on who plays.
That's true.
He scored, by the way, 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games.
I was just about to say push until you said that.
He's on 4 touchdowns for the year, but 3 in the last 2.
Yeah, so he's developing a target for Lawrence.
Just very recently.
Yeah, I'm gonna push on that one. Actually, I'll just again on the proviso that Curse is on the field.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
I'm
It's
trying
personal.
not. Yeah, I'm trying not to say push, but I think I got to go push on this one too.
Yeah. Alrighty, and then the Jaguars defense is for 6 points.
Under.
Yeah, that's what I went for.
I think we scored 30.
Yeah, and they don't. This Jaguars defense, I think, is 3rd worst in sacks. I think they've only got like 20 sacks on the year, which is 3rd worst.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't get a lot of takeaways either.
Yeah.
Yeah, lower on that one as well for me.
Yeah. There we go. We are locked and loaded. Goes on the sheet. I will let you know by message where you rank, Mr. Marcus.
Okay.
If you can beat me or your guy next, I'll be very impressed. That 82% was literally like almost in one go.
What game did Knicks get?
Very early one. It might have been like the 2nd game, perhaps.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a
Heckman was the 1st game. So
yeah, and I
think
think
that all went horribly wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Cincinnati.
It might have been actually.
Yeah.
And he got all of them right practically.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, what the hell is going on here? But yes, so there we go. There we have it. Your name will forever be on here for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But that is it for this week. We will very quickly run through some of the old bills here. If you go to a game this year, make sure you book it with Cowboys Experience. They have meet and greet, stadium tours, game tickets, tailgate parties, and everything in between. If you do decide to go with Cowboys Experience, make sure you tell them UK Cowboys sent you, because what happens there, Mr. Lawn?
You get free stuff.
Yeah, and make sure you follow all these guys. And there's old Bluff City Cowboys, like all the way up there on the top, 3rd one along next to Volch. And their podcast that you've kicked back in, Cowboys Zone, with Brandon from Cowboys Y'all. How is Brandon? You doing all right?
Brandon's doing better. You know, he always has
doing better
stuff going on. So.
Yeah, he has his up and down moments, doesn't he? It all goes on with him. Yeah, but as long as he's doing it, I'll have to send him a message to see how he's doing. See what's going on over there in the old Brandon household. It's always entertaining to find out what's going on in his world.
Definitely.
But yes, that is it from us this week. We will be back on Tuesday with a post-game show, so join us then. But thank you very much, Marcus, for joining us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You are definitely one of our favorite people when you come on. It's so easy.
Thank you, guys. I definitely appreciate that.
Yes.
So who do you guys have as guests next week? Got anybody playing?
You what? Sorry. Oh, guests.
Yeah, guests.
I believe we've got a Cowboys Cam fan.
Okay.
The Canadian group.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll get you on again, definitely, over Christmas, because we haven't got anyone lined up for the Washington game. If you want to come back for that,
that'll be the week after Christmas, right?
Yeah, I'll get the date for you now.
Okay.
We'll book you in live on air.
I should be available that week.
So I can give you the date. It would be Tennessee's the 30th. And then, so it would be the 5th of January.
I'll be going back to work. I'll be insane because I'm taking off that whole week before. So I don't know if I can get in there.
If it's a week before, what about the Tennessee game then?
Yeah, Tennessee plays on Thursday, right? So are you
Yeah.
guys doing the Thursday show?
Yeah. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll
I'll
literally
be
be a
free Tuesday or Thursday.
pre-game show.
Yeah. I'll be free Tuesday or Thursday. Just let me know which one works best for you guys.
All right. Yeah, well, we'll talk about it off air and we'll get that sorted. But as always, guys, that is it from us. And we will be back, as I say, on Tuesday. But as we do all the time, we let the guest and whoever is on the show have the final word. So take it away, Mr. Lawn, Mr. Marcus. Take us out.
Right, guys, have a good weekend. Enjoy the game. OBJ, the Buffalo Bills signed Cole Beasley, brought him out of retirement. Get yourself in here. Get yourself doing the rehab with Brett Brown, and you might have a chance with us.
Yeah, guys, make sure you keep watching UK Cowboys. They put out great content. They have great guests. Always going to be entertaining and educational. So make sure you guys, if you haven't done so already, follow them. Get a chance, go find me at Bluff City Cowboys. We're gearing up for the playoffs, so it's going to be a lot of moving parts with the Cowboys. So stay tuned. Keep watching.